I know. I feel like everywhere I turn around town, it's a Clarke Merrell venture. It's so exciting. Also, I really want to call you Shoot now that I see that on your.
It's Shooter Boy 20 at hotmail.com. Terrible. As my dad's restaurant was Shooter, I cannot think of it. That's what I came up with. I'm 40. That was 20 years ago. Leave me alone.
It's so good. It's so good, though. I really like that. I do know the email addresses, and the fact that it's a Hotmail kind of tells us all we need to know. Am I right?
Yes.
You're 100% right, MC.
We got it. Shoot. We got it. I love
it. Dated.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Good morning, everybody. We know how busy everybody is. I'm sure you guys by now have heard the term Maycember. That's what we are wrapping up here. Everyone's coming off the craziness, graduations, all kinds of nutty stuff going on. Memorial Day weekend, a very short week this week. I'm still so confused about what day it is.
Me too.
But anyway, happy Friday. We can clarify that for you. It's Friday morning.
Ooh.
And we are here with Clarke Merrell. If you don't know Clarke, you have probably eaten at one of his restaurants and not realized it. So let's kind of run through. I'm scared I'm going to forget one. So Clarke and his wife, Liza, have Circa 81. They have Beaufort Olive Oil. They have Dank Burrito. They have Social Q. And then they also own Merrell Estates.
Nice.
Right, Clarke? And then we're getting ready to talk about, during this conversation, an exciting new venture that they have coming up. Did I get them all, Clarke?
You did. Thank you.
Yay. Okay. So anyway, needless to say, Clarke is certainly a master in the kitchen, and specifically with Social Q, he is able to really showcase what he knows about grilling and smoking and all things that relate to Dad's and Father's Day in our mind, right? So Meg, tell everybody before we pivot to Clarke about why we are thinking about Dad's and Father's Day and what we have coming up.
Yes. So we have a giveaway coming up next Tuesday. We're giving away, Clarke, I don't know if you know this yet, but we're giving away a big green egg, one of the large ones, a bunch of stuff from Shortwave Brewing, and then some meats and things like that from Shank Family Farm. So on Tuesday, all you have to do is call our office line between 9 and 4. You'll be entered to win, and we're really excited about it. So we were talking about the giveaway and the big green egg and all that stuff. And Mary Cheatham was like, we need to have a grill master on Coffee with MC. And we were all at one time, we were like,
Clarke. Yeah.
Excuse me, shoot.
Shoot. That's exactly right. That's right. That's right.
So we're excited you're here, Clarke. Thank you. We know you're busy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, so Clarke, I think with no further ado, what tips do you have for dads out there who want to grill or smoke like a champ on Father's Day or any day?
Sure. Yeah. So grilling, right? It's grilling season. Everyone's got their big green egg, their Traeger, their Weber's, all of their grills. I think for me, there's a couple different things that we do in a restaurant setting that I think lends itself well to home cooks as well. One thing that I do like to do, so, we keep all of our meat in our refrigerator, right? So one thing that I like to do is pull my meat out or whatever I'm grilling a couple hours before we want to grill it. And the idea here is to knock the chill off it and to get it to come up to like temperature before we actually put it on the grill. And this way it kind of ensures a little bit more of an even cooking temp. So we're not really fighting that refrigerator coolness on our proteins, and we could just get a really good sear and even cook. So that's just kind of one thing.
Clarke, I like. Quick question. Sorry, for clarity. What's the difference is it a taste difference or a texture difference if you take it straight from the fridge onto the grill?
So it's, it could be a little bit of both, because you're getting your taste from your char, your and the cooking of the protein. So as the meat is having to kind of battle, overcoming the refrigerated coolness of like 34 degrees to get up into an internal temperature of 120 or whatever you're cooking your steak to, it just has to fight that a little bit further. So I just kind of like to knock the chill off. And it's if you don't, it doesn't matter, but it lends itself to a little bit better product.
Tip. Yeah.
So not required, but
recommended.
You're also hearing a lot about, reverse searing and searing and all of the confusion with that. So the thought of searing before was we're going to get a pan or a grill blazing hot, right? We're going to put our protein down. We're going to sear it. We're going to lock in our juices, which is not accurate. You can't lock in juices. That's not a thing.
What? I've always heard that you want to sear it.
It's myth. Anyway.
Man, this is good. Okay.
Yeah. So as you cook, you sear, get your crust or the exterior your protein how you want it, your caramelization, your char, whatever you want to call it, and then kind of finish it on the lower end. Reverse searing is kind of I feel like that term became more prevalent during like the sous vide era, which is kind of what a lot of home cooks or guys are doing now, right? So they're buying these immersion circulators or cooking sous vide, and what we're doing is that we're cooking the proteins for 2, 3, 4 hours. We're breaking down, you take connective tissue, any of the muscle fibers, and so essentially your protein is cooked, right? And then we just need to get the texture, the sear texture on it, because you can take a piece of meat, put it in a bag, cook it to 120, and it still looks raw and it still has that raw texture because it's never seen that hot heat. You've seen kind of that wet bag heat. So then folks are kind of searing it. I think, reverse searing's been around for a while, but I think that's really when you started seeing that term used more. So that's a cooking method that some people like. I cook both ways.
I've never heard of that, Clarke. Y'all have been living under a rock. That makes too much sense to me, though. And so to be clear, when you sous vide it that way and you reverse sear, so you cook your meat first and then you sear it, even though the texture of it still appears as though it's raw, it's safe to eat. It's not raw.
Yeah. So if you think about meat, right? Let's say you have like a thick steak. Say you're doing like a fillet or a ribeye, and it's 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. To get a perfectly like medium rare middle, you essentially are overcooking both ends of the steak until it becomes medium rare or you want it, right?
Sure.
So so like so you see this like color variation of gray to pink to red, right? And then it goes opposite the other way if you cook it properly. When you're sous vide, it's taking it from top to bottom. It's cooking it all the way through. So your protein is cooked, but it still appears rare. And then you're going to sear it for your final preparation.
Cool. I think that's so cool.
Yeah. So then essentially from top to bottom in a sous vide environment, you have a perfectly cooked medium rare steak from top to bottom. And it's totally safe to eat. You've had sous vide steak before because I've fed it to you at some of your parties.
Yeah. I just pictured Clarke with a fork. He's just like,
that's exactly right. I fed it to you. Yeah. It was delicious. Okay. So, okay. I love this. That's a good one.
So that's kind of a good one. And I'll tell you what too, that I see a lot of home cooks do something. It's just kind of a technique. It's not really a technique. It's just a mindset. It's a thought process. So you have, 3 couples over, right? There's 6 of you that want to eat, and you go and you buy 6 steaks for the group, and husband, wife, and you're thinking the wife's not going to eat a lot, but the husband is, right? So you end up getting these like kind of 8 or 10 ounce steaks. Well, they just end up being really thin. And something that I've realized, and it just really occurred to me recently, I knew it, but it never really like clicked. Yeah. I just bought myself a grill setup to combat this, but a lot of home grills do not get hot enough. You shut the lid and it says like 500, 600, 700 degrees. That's a little bit of a lie, right? You're creating this like convection oven environment inside on top of your grill, and as soon as you open that lid, all that heat's gone.
Yeah.
Your home grills are putting out 25,000, 30,000 BTUs. Some do more, but that's kind of an average. So what's happening here is that you got 6 people and you're cutting these little thin steaks and you put them on your grill, and it kills your heat. And essentially you end up with these really weak like grill marks, and you're kind of like accidentally like in a way a little bit like steaming these steaks, right? You're not getting this, there's just not enough heat to go around to like get these steaks charred and hot. Maybe if you're cooking over like a Weber with coals or like fire, you can get a blazing hot fire, but like heat is number one, right? So we go to these like high-end steakhouses, they're cooking in these broilers that are 1,000 degrees, 1,200 degrees, these 2,000 degree infrared broilers. Like they just get these things blazing hot. So they don't cook the steak in that oven or environment for the entire cooking process because they'll incinerate it. But what they're doing is that they're searing the outer ends of the steak to create that flavor and to get that texture. So my recommendation is, if you have a dinner party and let's say you're doing ribeyes, get a fat ribeye, get you a 2-inch thick ribeye, get your grill as hot as you can and cook it. You'll, when you're cooking these little kind of tiny steaks on the grill, it's really easy to overcook it because that window of opportunity is just like so small. So you just kind of like fly through it, and it just makes it kind of tough. So my recommendation is to get you a nice thick meaty piece of steak. And then, I love a ribeye. It's kind of my favorite. And once it's finished, let it rest. A lot of people don't let their meat rest long enough. So if you think about the meat and all the juices in the meat, as you cook it, it's like expelling. That's why you're seeing all these juices come out of the meat. Well, once it's all expelled, it's well done. So, when you stop the cooking process and you give that protein time to like rest and slack back out, everything kind of redistributes within the piece of protein, and it just kind of lends for a juicier piece of meat. So, you take a ribeye, get it thick, cook it how you want it. You have a bigger, like medium rare zone, and then like slice it across the grain and enjoy it. Like, you don't have to have an entire like steak for yourself.
Per person.
Cook 2 or 3 really fat, big steaks, slice them down, and it'll be more than enough for everybody, and enjoy it that way, rather than just giving everybody their own.
What a great hack.
That's a good hack.
So it's gonna be, so if you get a little steak, it's gonna be steamed, under-seared, probably overcooked and not delicious, right? So thicker steak, you can season it properly, you can get some good heat on it, and you get a little bit longer cooking time because it's thick.
Get it right.
To get it right. So then, like I said, slice it down and share that. That's what I like to do.
I love that, Clarke.
Yeah. And also, Meg, I mean, like, I don't know about you, but I'd much rather have like sliced beautiful pieces of meat on my plate than a big slab of steak that I'm supposed to attack by myself.
Same. It's prettier too. We love an aesthetic plate.
We do.
And it gives you the opportunity to like eat different pieces, right? Like the cap on the ribeye is like the spinalis, like that top piece, and then you get like the eye and like the tail, like there's fatty pieces. Don't worry about that. Like, literally just, I'll take a ribeye and I'll cut it thick and I'll just slice it right across. And then, everybody shares. Of course, it's fat. There's fat on it because it's a ribeye, but it's great. Cut around it, eat it, whatever you want. But it's so much better that way.
That sounds delicious.
I know. Is it weird that I want that right now?
I know. It's 8 a.m. and I definitely want some steak. And I feel less intimidated by.
I do too. And understanding why helps me a lot.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Seasoning properly, I think, is the thing. Like, a lot of people don't season properly. Like, be liberal with your salt and pepper or whatever you're seasoning it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a steak. It can hold it. And as you're flipping it and it's sticking to the grill, you're gonna lose some of it. Or season it how you think you want it, and then after you come back and let it rest and slice it. In the restaurants, I do a lot of like finishing salt.
Ooh.
I'll call it like top salt. Like, it's just a little bit, and we can get into that too. I'll brief that real quick. So, say you have a ribeye or a fillet, right? You got this little ball of meat, and you season the exterior and you grill it. And then when it comes off, you let it rest and you slice it. You've just created a ton of more surface area by slicing it, right? So we go from the exterior to slice with more surface area. So that has never seen any kind of seasoning. So that's where we kind of go back and add a little bit of finishing salt, just so like when it hits your mouth, like it just kind of brings it all together. That's just something.
I love some salt. Okay, and what is your recommendation for finishing salt?
I'll use some kosher salt. We can use some like thick flake salt. You can use really whatever you want to eat. Stay away from your iodized kind of cheaper stuff, but there's great salts. We have great salt at our olive oil store.
I know you do. Okay.
Yeah, if you guys are looking for great salts, we carry a ton of them there. But,
great plug.
That was good.
Yeah, it is a great plug. I know we talked a little bit about marinade. You guys were interested in that and what we like to do. I'll tell you, I have like this one marinade that it's like a standard go-to for most of my events and a lot of my cooking, and it's so easy and stupid, but it's really good. And it's literally like fresh garlic and rosemary. I use that in a lot of my beef. I just love that flavor profile. And
okay, back up. So I'm going to take olive oil. Is it a rub or it's a marinade? So you actually put it with olive oil.
Yeah, so we can use like a little bit of Tuscan herb that we have at the olive oil store, and we use all of our product in all of our restaurants. So, the olive oil store for me isn't this like gimmicky product that we just try to like just sell. Yeah, we use it all the time.
They're so good.
We have gallons and gallons of it over at at all of our restaurants. The truffle mac at Dank is all of truffle oil. I'm paying like $600 for a jug of truffle oil, and then we distribute it out. The bread service that you get at Circa is our Tuscan herb olive oil. Our balsamics, we use them all over. It's just not this, so it's not like we are using them. It's just not for show or sale.
Right.
But yeah, so for like marinated sake, like a little bit of Tuscan herb olive oil, or you can use a neutral oil if you want to also, but fresh garlic and rosemary, and just let it hang out 12 hours or overnight. Just crush it up, marinate it, and it's so good. That's what I use, fresh rosemary and garlic. There's no secret with the oil.
Yeah, that sounds so
And
good.
then salt and pepper. And that's, I mean, if you've ever had a steak at Circa or any of the restaurants, that's usually what I use. So it doesn't have to be complicated.
That sounds so good.
Yeah.
Wait, so just to recap really quick, we have the 4 hacks. I just don't want to forget. We have the wait, what was number 1?
One of them was the reverse char, like to
Yes.
sous vide your meat.
Oh,
and I thought
So
that
we
was
talked about letting your meat come up a temp.
Yep, take it out of the
Yeah,
fridge.
we talked about like, you know, you can reverse sear, just kind of sear with the sous vide. That's a pretty cool cooking method. We talked about like, you know, cooking thicker cuts of protein versus like smaller cuts of protein, and then kind of slicing them down, making sure we're cutting across the grain for maximum kind of tenderness. A little bit of marinade is what we're talking about too. Garlic, rosemary. Also at the olive oil store, I have a chipotle oil with like a peach vinegar. So I like chipotle and peach kind of play on protein. Some pork is really good on it. So that's it, that you can marinate. That's super delicious.
And the finishing salt. Don't forget about the finishing salt.
Yeah.
You slice it to make sure that
you great.
We love a salt.
Yeah. So
oh man,
these are all like just little things. So some people, if you've never had like a cast iron stewed steak, they're really delicious. Take a cast iron, and we use a little bit of the Tuscan herb olive oil with, or no, sorry, I use butter. We have butter flavored oil. It's made from like essential oils. It's really good.
It is good.
Like butter flavored oil with some real butter. The oil kind of gives it a little bit of a higher smoke point. And be pretty generous with the amount that you put in your cast iron. Get your cast iron blazing hot. Get your steak in there, and then put your rosemary and your garlic in with the cast iron in like the butter, oil, and butter mixture, and sit there and just baste it. So get a high heat. It'll kind of foam and froth. But a basted steak is really delicious. A lot of people don't take the time to do that. It's a little bit more labor intensive, but a basted steak is really good as well.
That sounds so good. I feel that Chip would push back on that because I think really the thing is that he wants to go outside to the grill and drink beer without me in his ear.
Well, he has a burner on his grill. He could do a cast iron.
You're right.
So there's options, but yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Those are really good ones.
Okay. One thing that I was kind of thinking about when we were talking about this, like, so one mistake that I think, you know, some home cooks make, not a lot, but people tend to forget when they're doing like shish kebabs or skewers or anything like that. Pineapple is something that's delicious, but if you say you want to assemble like the night before, pineapple will destroy any protein that is put in its way. And I did this for an event a long time ago, really early in my career. I had to do something, and I was like, I'm gonna get ahead on prep, and we're gonna get this skewered up. And all of my proteins were like mushed out the next day. All of the enzyme, it's like the bromelain and the enzyme just ate the protein, and it was like chicken, and it was beef, and it was like so mushy. People use like pineapple, you know, in the summertime. They want, you know, if you're doing it, you know, in that moment, it's fine. But if you're like trying to hang this stuff
don't
out,
pre-assemble it.
No, because it'll be mushy and nasty.
That's a good question to retail. Oh my god, that's a good question too.
That's a little whoops. I learned that like the hard way.
Sounds like you learned it the very hard way. Well, okay, Clarke, before we let you go, will you fill us in briefly on what you have coming up? We have heard rumors that you guys have purchased the previous bistro building where Bistro by the Sea is located on Arundel Street, right next to Social Q. What's going to happen there?
Yeah, so we got that building from Libby a couple, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, and it's been, you know, she's so awesome. You know, her Libby and Tim were great operators. They're great friends. They had a great restaurant for a long time. Mm-hmm. I think it's really neat that she was able to kind of retire on her own terms. Oops, sorry, phone's going off. Retire on her own terms and kind of do what she wants to do, and I think that's really awesome. And the building's been sitting there, as everybody in town has seen, for the last few months. And you know, her and I have talked for years about me getting into that space, and you know, we had the opportunity, and it was kind of like seize the moment, right? It's like post-COVID a little bit, and we're like trying to figure out what to do. There's like a lot of I-42 talk and just like growth in the area. And there was, you know, everybody that I talked to really thinks that I'm kind of loony and lost my marbles and I'm crazy. But, you know, when you see an opportunity, you see an opportunity.
Yeah.
However, I kind of use this little saying that not all, opportunities are good opportunities, but I really did think this was a good opportunity to get into this kind of more of a legacy restaurant that had great clientele. The following was great. The location's amazing, right in the middle of town, the hotel, all of the things. And yeah, so we ended up doing a deal, and we got that thing 2 or 3 weeks ago. So the idea for me, and we all heard the news with Lauren and Soundside down the street closing, and
I know.
I'm so happy for her that she's able to do that because she wants to do it. But it's sad to lose another good restaurant. I feel like Circa, Soundside, and the Bistro shared a lot of the same customers. We would see, they would bounce right here through the middle of town, and we would see a lot of folks. And so with Lauren closing, that's kind of sad too. But the idea for me there is kind of something a little more upscale for me. What we've done typically in the past, we're going to call it Prime Bistro.
Cool.
And we're going to, and so Prime is going to kind of indicate like a top tier item or product.
Sure.
So Prime Steaks, we're going to partner, a lot of local seafood with Tucker, but it's not going to be all local, right? So my vision for it is like this coastal kind of, since I didn't want to like step on Lauren's toes or like kind of copy or do anything like that. I think steak and seafood is, and my ideas evolved a little bit since I realized that she's going to be closing, but I want it to be like this upscale kind of coastal steakhouse, right? So I'm thinking,
yum.
Yeah, but like with my flair and my flavor, and a lot of people have approached me and they're really excited. I just hope that they realize that the bistro aspect of it is really kind of like a nod to the bistro. I thought it would be really crazy not to include that in the name
For
because
sure, that's so
35
smart.
years of service. So
Yeah.
no, it's not going to be a classic like French bistro per se. It's going to be definitely more of a top tier. And I'm not trying to be exclusive or elitist, but I really want to go for it. Like this is going to be kind of a fun project for us, and I really hope that the town embraces it. I think they will.
Oh yeah.
If you guys remember the days of Chefs 105, Andy and Creighton had that wood fire grill in there. I'm bringing a wood fire grill in, so you'll have that aroma of wood, which I really a beautiful smell.
Yeah.
It's just really kind of cool. So, wood-fired cooking, just coupled with really just high-end ingredients. I'm not trying to overcomplicate it. I want it to be like a 80s, 90s, and 2000s like greatest hits menu. Like I love Steak Oscar. Like there's nothing real chefy about it, but it's delicious. I think I want to save like the really creative stuff for like Circa and more of like the swooshes and the swipes and the reductions and all of the dehydrating and all the things that we do down there. And I think I want to take the Prime Bistro in a direction of like, I don't know if you guys remember 18 Seaboard in Raleigh, Jason Smith's restaurant up there.
Yes.
Was fabulous. I love this place. But it was like you had some like protein options and you could pick accompaniments and you can kind of pick your sides, and it just was really, really kind of cool like that.
We're so excited.
I'm really excited about that. And I
Clarke.
think that fills a void, Clarke. I mean, I think that's exactly what we need. I think it'll pair so well with because golly day, think about it. I mean, you're right, with Soundside gone and the bistro gone. I mean, it really, this part of town, I mean, it really is tough. So I think this is such a great answer. And I love the fact, I think the name is perfect because I think that it conveys, an elevated sense of what you're going to receive there, but it also pairs it with a nod to the fact that it is still the bistro. People know that. You're right. People love that restaurant. I think a nod to Libby. I think that's such a cool thing. I'm excited.
So it's, I mean, I don't want to like I said, it's not like, we're trying to be elitist or pretentious or like exclude anybody, but I'm thinking like, we've traveled, right? We've all traveled some, and like, you eat at that really nice place and you're like, this is really good. And we need one of these back home. And it's going to be something a little bit different. And like I said, if the community doesn't, like it, want it, or support it, then we'll pivot and change. But this is kind of me kind of going for something that I want to do versus what this is being driven by me. It's kind of like Social Q in the sense of, this is a project that I want to do. Like I don't feel obligated or compelled. I'm not being pressured by it. Like I don't have any partners or investors, and nobody's telling me that I have to do this. This is really something that I want to do. So it's gonna be really cool.
I think that's awesome. And I think it's cool, Clarke. This is the evolution of your culinary journey, and we get to benefit from it. I think that's really cool that we get
thank you. That's sweet.
Enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah. So we're looking to open like probably, I don't know, fall, early fall,
Cool.
like
Okay.
for October.
Keep us
I was
posted.
gonna say, please keep us
Yeah.
posted on that.
Yeah,
I know.
I
And
will.
Clarke, yeah,
Great.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. And thank you for everything that you've shared. I'm excited. I'm gonna
Me
need to
too.
go back and watch this so that I can remember.
Me too. And I'm going to share it with all of my girlfriends who are intimidated by the grill. Cause
I
we
know
got,
it really did make me feel, you're right. I agree, Meg. I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, don't be intimidated. It's just cooking. I always say we just heat food up. That's all. We're cooks. We just heat
Great
food.
point. Great point. You do a little more than that, but
Heat food up.
I know.
Clarke,
Clarke,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Tell Liza we said hello and thank you for being, we really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Bye,
have a
y'all.
good one.
Clarke.